Hello everyone and welcome to Eclectic Collecting. Today we're going to take a look at a set of vintage Sailor Moon plushes. Here we have the first of the 5 plushes that we're going to take a look at today. Now, for a little bit of background information, this set of 5 plushes was made by Banpresto in 1994. You can see it on the tag right here. And look at the other side. And Banpresto made a whole bunch, like somewhere around 20 plus sets of Sailor Moon plushes during the 90s. And they weren't just making Sailor Moon stuff, they also made products for other series as well. And oftentimes, these products would be put into a UFO catcher, which is the Japanese name for what we would typically call a crane game. And obviously, you'd have to then win the prizes doing the arcade-style crane game. And these lines of products were referred to as Toru Toru items, the ones that were put into the UFO catchers. So this set is a Toru Toru. And like I said, there's a whole bunch that Banpresto made at this time. I do have a pretty lofty goal for myself of collecting all of them, but we'll see if that ever happens. But I do like to add to my plush collection. I think they're super cute, they're super fun to collect, and just something that I really enjoy. So I thought we would take a look at this set because I do have all 5 so that you could see all 5 in case you're interested in it. And especially if you want to collect them yourself, I thought we could go over some of the pieces that I would be most worried about getting lost. So with these plushes, a lot of the pieces are a separate piece of fabric that have been glued on. And I haven't noticed it with this particular line, but some of the Sailor Moon plushes from this time period are really susceptible to that glue getting dry and old and the pieces falling off. So my hope is that I just show you what each of these plushes is supposed to look like in its entirety, because I believe all of mine are complete, not missing any pieces. So that if you want to purchase them yourself, you know what to look out for, because obviously at this point, these plushes are over 30 years old, so they're all going to be secondhand. They've all had wear and tear unless they're still in their original packaging. All right, now let's take a look. So here we have Usagi. Now, this particular set is referred to as the towel hanger set because it is intended for us to use to hang towels on. So we have this plastic ring, which is where we would hang it. I believe what we were supposed to do here is we were supposed to use this loop in order to put it up, on a hook on the wall or whatever. I have never used these for that intended purpose because, I don't want them to get wet, being in contact with towels and things like that. However, if you ever have actually used something like this for that intended purpose, I would be curious to know how it goes. If there was ever any mold or damage or anything, or if it worked well for what it was intended for. So let's take a look at Usagi. So let's see her face. So we have big bright eyes and an open mouth smile. Under her bangs, you can see we do have eyelashes and her upper eye and eyebrow. Now these are fabric. So these are something that could come unattached. Again, I haven't experienced that with this particular set. So I don't think it's a huge worry, but it is something that could possibly be lost. She has white earrings, which thankfully are sort of like painted on. They're not a separate piece of fabric, so those should be sturdy and stable. And for her hair, we have her little buns and her hair trailing down in her pigtails. Now, one thing that they do with a lot of these plushes of Usagi is at the bottom of the pigtail, they kind of sew it up into random bunches to make it look curly. I will say that on mine, it does look like one of the threads that was holding the bunch together, I think right here, I think it did break. So that's something that I could potentially try and fix in the future, but it doesn't really bother me that much because, we're not missing a piece. It's just slightly different than it's supposed to be. So for now, I'm just going to leave it. All right, so that's her face. Now we, of course, have a ring here, the ring that we're supposed to put our towel on. And just so you can see how they're attached, they are attached by just being threaded in between her hands, which are sewn onto her arm. So you can fully rotate this ring in here. It is not glued or permanently attached like that. Obviously, this is pretty sturdy sewing, so I've never seen one for sale that's missing its ring, but I'm sure it does happen occasionally. Another feature of these plushes are these aprons. So all the girls are wearing aprons, and they do have something unique about each of them. either the apron or the face or the outfit, there's something special and unique. So Usagi has a pink apron with a ruffly edge, and her outfit is consistent of a white shirt, which the shirt is just the fabric of her body. It's not a separate piece, so that is, fully attached. And then she has a white collar, which is made of two little pieces here. So this is something I would look out for. Look carefully in photos or message a seller to make sure that she still has her collar intact. For the bottom, she has a blue skirt. And then her ribbon here. So the back of her apron goes around her neck, and then we have this ribbon. She has the longest ribbon tails out of any of the girls. So that's one of her unique features. And then her feet are literally just pieces of red fabric sewn onto the rest of her legs. So these could not come unattached unless she was completely, snipped apart and pulled apart. So that's Usagi. I'm going to put her here, and then we'll compare her to Ami. So let's take Ami here. All right, so here we have Ami. You'll notice that their faces are different. So even though they have the same expression and the same mouth, their eyes are different. Usagi has these three little highlights, and Ami doesn't actually have any small white highlights, but she does have some light blue at the bottom of her eyes, which is unique to her. We've got, her hair. She has blue earrings, just like Usagi's. And her outfit is this blue dress with a white collar. So again, something that you want to be on the lookout for. And then these two little buttons. These are probably one of the things I would be most worried about losing because they're so small. They can become easily unattached. Her apron is of a similar style to Usagi's in that it is this frilly kind of edge, but it doesn't have the upper part. It's just from the waist down. And you can see on the back, she doesn't have the part that goes around the top, just her little ribbon. But you can see that her ribbon is, the tails are distinctly shorter than Usagi's. And she has this blue dress going all the way down, and then she has blue shoes instead of the red that Usagi has. All right, now let's take a look at Minako. So here's Minako. Her eyes are a little bit more similar to Usagi's, but still slightly different with different, the highlights are different. And she is the only one of the plushes here that has a closed mouth smile. She has orange earrings to fit her color scheme and an orange apron. But other than the color, her apron is basically identical. I think it is exactly identical to Usagi's. Same style and shape. And her outfit underneath is a white dress. And she also has the white collar pieces that Ami and Usagi both have. So she's got the white top and then a white skirt. And here's her apron. Does go around the back of her neck. And her orange shoes. Now, one thing that you always want to be on the lookout for when you're getting Minako or Sailor Venus is her hair ribbon. Now, this one, at least on mine, it is extremely well glued on. There is a big patch of glue holding this on. I will say that that's not always the case for every plush that Banpresto made. So some of them I've noticed are frequently missing their ribbon. So to me, it seems like this line wouldn't have as much of a problem if they're all glued as well as mine is, but something that you always want to be on the lookout for if you are buying Minako or Sailor Venus plushes. Now let's take a look at Makoto. Here she is. Now, she has, of course, green eyes, so a little bit different. Again, different pattern to the highlights. You can see her upper eye there. She has the open mouth as well. And she has her pink earrings. So in the anime, she does, and the manga, she wears pink earrings. So even though all the other girls are given kind of a color that just is associated with them, she is given actually pink instead of green, which, you might expect if they weren't paying attention. Her apron is different than the ones that we've seen so far. It is a straight-edged one. And it has little buttons at where the straps meet the body. And it has a pocket here. So we have this little piece of fabric, and then it does have a seam down the middle to make it into a little double-sided pocket there. So there's two parts to the pocket. She has a green shirt and a blue skirt, as you can see here. And in her ponytail, she does have her typical ponytail holder with the green little beads. Now, in general, the beads from Mako or Sailor Jupiter are something that can also easily go missing. So to be honest, I'm having a hard time I think these are sewn in. But, you know, the thread can easily snap. So something else that you want to be on the lookout for if you're collecting Sailor Jupiter or Mako. Now, the last one I have, of course, is Ray, and hers is a little bit different. So I want to show you that my Ray is actually still in her original packaging. So she would have been one from the Crane game in this plastic bag. And with this original piece of information here on the back, the like tag or, you know, product information. Now, I will take her out of the bag. I'm not afraid to do that, okay? I like to keep the bag in the packaging if I manage to get it as part of my collection, but you know, when it's something like this, I have no problem taking her out. But I did want to show you what it looks like. So this is how they're closed. They have this little piece of wire with a probably plastic coating. And it's just like how a lot of bread bags have a little flexible wire that you use to close them. So that's what it is. I've seen this on multiple different Sailor Moon Banpresto products, so I do believe this is a fairly typical way to keep them closed. Put that aside. And then she's just in a regular crinkly plastic bag after that. So let's take a look at her a little closer. So here we have Ray. Now, if you're not a person who collects these vintage Sailor Moon products, you might be confused about why she has red hair. So Sailor Mars and Ray, she has black hair, okay? In the anime, it's clearly depicted as black. It does have reddish or purplish undertones at times, but in these old products, she was often depicted as just having straight up red or maroonish hair. And I guess that's just how they chose to depict that black hair with red undertones. I'm not really sure why. If you know why that was frequently done, let me know, but it might be a little bit confusing if you're not used to seeing these old products. She has a similar face with these purple eyes, same kind of style here. She has red earrings, and she also has a straight-edged apron like Mako. So she has the little buttons, but her pocket is rounded and just all one part. Her outfit consists of this white undershirt and then the cute little like romper style purple dress. And she does have little ribbon tails. Hers is just kind of flattened for some reason, but they are there, I promise. And red shoes. I would say that probably Ray might be my favorite design out of these plushes. I just like her outfit a lot. I think it's very cute. Now, we're also going to take a look at this piece of promotional thing here, because for the most part, Banpresto Toru items, they usually come with a hang tag. So, for example, this is from obviously a different set. It's not this one. But you can see that we have this informational tag that's attached to her. And it has like the little plastic tab holding it on. As far as I can tell, because my Ray came in the original packaging, these did not have hang tags. Instead, in the bag with them would have come this little tag. So this tells us we've got Sailor Moon S. So that's the season or arc that this came from, which is the third one in the anime. We have towel hanger, which is its, purpose. And then this line right here is telling us that there are a total of 5 items in this set. So that's how we can, double check that we have all 5, that there isn't some secret Chibiusa hiding somewhere that we don't have. We've got all 5, so we're good. Down here, we've got Toru items. So that's the, logo that Banpresto would have used. We've got Banpresto, and then this is more information about the Banpresto company. And here we have our typical Sailor Moon copyright information, Naoko Takeuchi and the other studios and information and things like that. And then we have this very cute picture of Sailor Moon and then all the girls down here in the corner. So I was really happy to get this because I do enjoy having all the original packaging. The back is blank. So that is our 5 plushes. That's our lineup, and I will put them here for a moment so you can see them all. Again, I think that my favorite design for this particular set would be Ray. Let me know which one you enjoy the most. You can go down here. There we go. And also, did you enjoy seeing these plushes? Do you want to see some more? I do have a few other sets that I've collected in their entirety, so I'd be happy to show some of those. And I hope to continue adding more onto my collection. So give me a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Here we have my cat Willow checking out the plushes.